The first crack was the crystal vase, his wedding gift to her, shattering against the marble hearth. Then came the voice, low, clipped, the same tone that once froze lieutenants mid-step. In this house, you answer to my wife, or you pack your sea bag and disappear. No shout, just steel. I'd faced down mortar fire in the Gulf, stared into the eyes of men who'd kill for a glance, but nothing tightened my gut like Captain Ellis in that moment. The shards glittered between us like spent casings. My stepmother, Vanessa, hovered by the island, manicured fingers clutching a martini, eyes wide as searchlights. Dad never looked at her. He looked at me square, cold, absolute. My roof, my chain of command. I didn't salute. I didn't argue. I just went upstairs, folded my blues into the same rucksack that had crossed 3 war zones, zipped it and walked out. He shadowed me to the threshold, but never lifted a hand. The Virginia night slapped me awake the second I crossed the porch. That was 17 days ago. Now my phone glows on the nightstand of a Norfolk Fleabag motel. 52 missed calls. All from the same number I once knew by heart. I'd come home after 8 years at sea thinking salt air might scrub the rust off old wounds. Dad had done 25 in the Marines, called sailors deck apes and female officers photo ops. When I pinned on Lieutenant, he fired off a 3-word text, "Stay alive." After Mom died, he remarried fast. Vanessa was 31 to a 62. All highlights and heels called him sir at the dinner table like it was foreplay. I tried courtesy. Every conversation became a uniform inspection, my haircut, my laugh, my unladylike stride. The final straw, she handed me a silver tray and said, "Be a dear and play made for my charity brunch." I snorted. Dad didn't. That night he issued the order. I was on I-64 before the moon set, wipers keeping time with the ache behind my ribs. Somewhere past Richmond, I pulled into a truck stop, ordered coffee. Coffee thick as crude, and watched an American flag snap above the pumps. I'd bled under that banner, but never felt smaller. The waitress, Marlene, refilled without asking. Military, she guessed. Was. She slid the pot back. Once it's in the marrow, it don't wash out. I slept in the cab until the sky bruised pink, then rolled south to a cinderblock complex near the piers. The landlord, a Desert Storm Marine, knocked $50 off rent when I showed my CAC card. The apartment smelled of bleach and old fries, but the key turned in my hand like permission. I unpacked 3 things. Dress whites, a folded flag, Mom's last birthday card. You're enough, exactly as you are. Day 4, I took a contract at the Harbor Haven Vet Center. Paperwork, transport runs, midnight crisis calls, I knew the map. First client, Gunnery Sergeant Ruiz, 1 lung, 0 faith. Nobody cares once the DD 214 signed, he rasped. I met his eyes. I care. And I'm not nobody. Nights, I press my service jacket out of muscle memory, the creases sharp enough to cut. Dad used to say, precision is love with its sleeves rolled up. I wondered if love had just been his blind spot. 10 days in, an email from his old squadron mate. Your old man looks like hell. That trophy wife's bleeding him dry. I deleted it. Then the calls started, unknown numbers, relentless. By the 11th night, a coastal storm battered the windows. My phone buzzed itself off the table. 52. I stared until the screen went black. Silence isn't retreat. Sometimes it's reconnaissance. Morning brought hospital voicemail. Ms. Brennan, this is Dr. Patel, Portsmouth Naval. Your father suffered a cardiac event. Please come. The drive north blurred. I kept seeing his face the night I left, granite uncracked. By the time I reached ICU, antiseptic stung like cordite. Machines hissed around a man I barely recognized. Tubes, monitors. The mighty Captain Ellis shrunk to a hospital gown. Vanessa was nowhere. I stood at the foot of the bed until his eyes fluttered open. She cleaned me out, he croaked. House, accounts, my damn dress blues, sold for costume parties. His laugh cracked like thin ice. I didn't gloat. Some defeats don't need commentary. The fraud was surgical, forged power of attorney, quitclaim deed, offshore transfers. The bank froze the house sale only after I threatened federal charges. Dad refused protective services. I'm not a damn charity case. I moved him into my shoebox apartment. He slept on the pullout, woke at 0500, brewed coffee strong enough to float a destroyer. We spoke in logistics, meds at 0600, PT at 0900, silence at 1800. One dawn he stared at the tiny balcony flag. I taught you to salute that. Never thought I'd need you to carry me under it. Therapy was court-ordered after the heart attack. Dr. Chen asked him to write Vanessa a letter he'd never send. He wrote Mom instead. I found the draft. Sarah, I mistook control for protection. Forgive me for teaching our daughter the same mistake. Weeks later, Savannah PD called. Vanessa nabbed in a casino hotel, using Dad's retired pay to chase blackjack. She wanted a plea deal, face-to-face apology. We drove south, Marcus riding shotgun for ballast. The courthouse smelled of bleach and desperation. Vanessa looked like a faded magazine, lipstick cracked, eyes red. James, I was drowning, she whispered. Dad's voice cut clean. You dragged me under to save yourself. He didn't forgive her. He just walked out taller. Back home, the Harbor Haven board asked us to keynote their gala. Dad polished his Will's chair instead of boots. I spoke first. Rank strips off. Character doesn't. Then he rolled to the mic, voice gravel and grace. I commanded squadrons. My daughter commanded my surrender to pride. Turns out humility is the only ribbon that doesn't fade. The room stood. Old Marines, young sailors, Gold Star moms. Every hand rose in salute. Dad's eyes glistened. He returned it with a trembling but perfect motion. After, he pressed his silver star into my palm. This belongs to the officer who brought me home. The Brennan Family Foundation launched 6 months later in the same hall, funded by lawsuit winnings and community donations. Dad cut the ribbon with garden shears. He refused ceremonial scissors. Tools fix things, he said. Parades don't. His final morning, he stood barefoot in the grass at Reveille, cane planted like a rifle. The flag caught the breeze. He saluted slow, deliberate, eyes on the horizon. I joined him. No words. Just 2 veterans honoring the same colors, different wars. That night, he slipped away in his sleep, Mom's card tucked under his pillow. I found my own letter on the kitchen table. Riley, if you're reading this, I've gone to muster with Sarah. Don't stand taps too long. Keep the foundation flying straight and level. You weren't just my anchor, you were my heading. Command with the heart she gave you. Fair winds.
Dad.
I folded it into my pocket beside his ribbon. At sunrise I walked to the pier, raised the ensign on the center's new pole, and saluted, not as daughter, not as lieutenant, but as the woman who learned that the longest firefight is the one you wage for family. The war ends when you lower your weapon and raise your hand, not in surrender, but in welcome. Call the parent you haven't forgiven. Mail the letter you've been carrying. Salute the sunrise with someone who once broke formation. Because sometimes the bravest order is stand down and come home.